Okay, hello everyone and welcome back. Now this video is going to be basically a little channel update as well as a review slash first impressions of Dark Souls 3. I said I would do this at the end of my first playthrough, which I finished yesterday. And yeah, here we go. And I already knocked into my mic stand. First of all, channel update. First playthrough of Dark Souls 3 is done, and there is definitely more to come. I'm going to be starting the Ultimate Pyro Guide probably tomorrow. Should be a lot of fun. Gonna be getting the spells, the pyro stuff. I am interested in trying out, first of all, a different build, and second of all, trying out magic, because I wanted to use magic for my first playthrough, and then halfway through I changed to a strength build. Not that I'm regretting it, but it's gonna be interesting using magic, finally. And we'll see how pyromancy works in this game. But yeah, that's gonna be coming, and there are also gonna be some new games coming on my channel. Mainly one that I've found a few days ago that I'm really interested in. It's on Steam. The game is called Hyper Light Drifter, and I've heard a lot of good things about it. I actually found it during, I think it was like a pixel art compilation, and someone asked what the game was, and apparently it's Hyper Light Drifter. Has a really cool art style, looks awesome, it's supposed to be super challenging, and yeah, I'm interested in checking it out. Hopefully I'm gonna enjoy it more, or I'm gonna have more fun with it than my previous Steam game, which was Dark Mouse. Dark Mouse started off really well, and it's kind of a series that I left in the dust, mainly because of Dark Souls 3, and mainly because I wasn't having a lot of fun with that game anymore. I think the concept of that game is great. Having a Souls game top down with mice and rats. Why not? I mean, it's a great idea. The atmosphere was there, the level design was good. But the thing that didn't grip me with Dark Mouse is the combat system. I don't know what it was. I think the only thing I can think of with the combat system is that it feels really, really slow. And that might partially be because I wasn't leveling my build correctly. But basically, I just didn't enjoy the combat system, even though I was enjoying everything else about the game. And of course, in a Souls game, the combat system is probably 75% of the experience, I would say. Of just like the gameplay, not counting out lore and environments and things like that. If you don't have a good combat system, you're screwed. And Dark Mouse, maybe it just didn't grip me. I'm gonna give it one more chance on my free time and maybe go for a different build. And if I am enjoying it more, I will go ahead and finish it. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. Which is kind of disappointing because, like I said, I liked everything else about the game. But Hyper Light Drifter looks a lot of fun. It's a lot faster. It's more of a 16-bit inspired game. And I'm definitely gonna be checking it out. But now, before we move on, oh yeah, one more thing I almost forgot to say is I actually hit 7,000 subscribers while doing my Dark Souls 3 playthrough. And I want to thank you guys very, very much for subscribing. I appreciate each and every one of you that chooses to stick with my channel. There's definitely going to be a ton of more content to come, both Souls and other games as well. So yeah, be prepared for that. Gonna be the ultimate guides are something I really enjoy doing, and yeah, if you like that on my channel, well, you're in luck because we're gonna be doing plenty of those. But now let's move on to part 2 of this video, probably the thing you're waiting for, my review of Dark Souls 3. And okay, I'm not gonna call this a full review because again, I don't think it's really possible to form a complete first impressions of a Souls game after one playthrough, but I'm still gonna give my thoughts anyways. And my thoughts are extremely positive. I really, really enjoyed this game. And if this is gonna be the final Souls game, like they are saying, it is definitely a worthy send-off to the series. Because this game, I would say, is probably the most consistent Souls game ever released. Now with Souls games, I'm counting out Bloodborne because Bloodborne is a different animal. That game is also excellent. But just like the Souls series, I would say that this one is the most consistent overall. All of the bosses, I wouldn't say are excellent, but all of the bosses are good. None of the areas are overly frustrating. The weapon system is good, the upgrade system is good. PvP, although I haven't played much of, is supposed to work very well. So yeah, they definitely paid a lot of attention to getting everything right. And that is one of the things that's the most important. The environments, I have to really commend them because this was the first Souls game where none of the areas, to me, felt like a bore or a chore to get through. The previous ones always had those couple of areas like Lost Izalith, or, well, I don't know what it was. Dark Souls 2, it was probably the Dragon Shrine or Dragon Airy. You know those areas where when you're starting a new playthrough, you're like, oh fuck, I'm eventually gonna have to go through that area. Well, this game didn't have any of those. I enjoyed every single area of the game. They're really expansive. Ton of secrets to find, ton of items, cool enemies. And speaking of cool enemies, the bosses. I think this game has some of the best bosses in the series. Some of my favorites, at least. Prince Lothric and Lorien, excellent. Pontiff Sulyvahn, excellent fight. And I even have to commend them, even though it's easy as hell. Yorm the Giant, if you manage to do the Siegward stuff, is just so cool. And that's the other thing, they actually managed to make the gimmick fights feel good as well. Like, the Bed of Chaos is a gimmick fight done wrong. Yorm the Giant is a gimmick fight done right. It's not challenging, it's not supposed to be, but it sure as hell makes you feel cool. Now, I do have a few criticisms of the game, and I know what I said, all the positives, seems kind of short, but I'm not gonna go into like the combat system in too much detail and the environments, because we all know that those are great. And in this game, it is no different as well. Again, really hoping that magic is good, which I think it should be. And PvP is supposed to be really enjoyable, which is again good. I think they finally managed to find the perfect balance in terms of PvP systems. Dark Souls 2 almost had it right, but they screwed it up with not having a permanent red eye and blue eye orb. But yeah, other than that, this game I think gets a lot of stuff right, and I have to commend them for it. Now, of course, with any Souls game, there are a couple of negatives, but these negatives are not really significant, I think. Definitely not significant enough to not pick up this game. I would recommend this game for anyone. And I think it's even a good place to start if you're new to the series. You should definitely take the plunge with Dark Souls 3. And that's gonna bring up the first point of criticism that I have. And that is, this one might be a little bit subjective. I was thinking about this before starting. But to me, this game felt very easy. And I don't know if any of you guys are also kind of quote-unquote veterans of the series. I know a lot of you are. But did you also find this game easy? Because I think this is one of the easiest Souls games ever released. And again, I don't know if it's actually the game or it's just kind of like my quote-unquote experience with the series. But I never really struggled throughout this game. With the environments, I didn't struggle at all. None of the environments really killed me that many times, or there were never any sections I struggled through. The only one I did kind of die a couple of times is the very top of Lothric Castle, but that's like endgame stuff. So I don't know. None of the game felt overly challenging to me. I think even the bosses that I had the most trouble with, like the Dancer and the Abyss Watchers, I got them in like 5 or 6 tries. So I don't know, again, I don't know if it's just me or if other veterans of the series felt this way as well. But yeah, this game kind of felt easy. Not that it wasn't fun, but it wasn't as challenging as the previous one. I feel like it's maybe because I completed Bloodborne the Old Hunters. I think Bloodborne the Old Hunters is the most difficult thing FromSoft has ever done in terms of its games. And I don't know, maybe everything is gonna feel easy after that. I don't know. Second point of criticism I have, and This one is probably one of the more significant ones, is that this game felt extremely linear. I know there are a couple of branching paths. Two big ones I can think of is, whether you go to Keep or the Cathedral of the Deep first, or whether you take on Yorm the Giant or Aldrich first. But again, aside from those two different branching paths, the game I never really felt like I had many options in where to go. It's just pretty much a straight run through from the start to the end. There never was a Firelink Shrine. You can either go to New Londo if you want, you can go to the Catacombs, or you can go to the Undead Burg. Even with or you can go to Blighttown as well. Holy shit, I didn't even think of that if you have the key. Or, have the option of taking out any of the 4 Lord bosses after picking up the Lord Vessel. So yeah, this game felt linear. Again, because the environments are so consistent and good, I'm willing to overlook that, but I think that might be one thing that veterans of the series are probably going to pick up on. And finally, my final criticism, this is probably the smallest one, because it's more lore/story related. I found the NPCs extremely boring in this game. The Firekeeper, Ludleth, Andre, the Shrine Maiden, they didn't feel like they have any personality. Also, aside from having no personality, I didn't really feel like they have that much dialogue either. In fact, most of the dialogue never changes throughout the whole game for a lot of these characters, unless you pick up some very specific key items like the coals for Andre, or the Firekeeper eyes that changes Ludleth and the Firekeeper's dialogue. But like Grey Rat, Patches, they just didn't do anything interesting. I think that's kind of a shame because Firelink Shrine is supposed to be your home, and you're supposed to have all these cool NPCs that are kind of mysterious and everything, and then you try to talk to them all the time and they just have nothing to say. So I think they could have really done a lot more with that. There are so many opportunities for NPCs to talk about things, but that didn't really pan out. Again, a minor criticism, but it's something that kind of popped out at me. But that doesn't detract from the overall experience. Like I mentioned, this is the most consistent Souls game ever released, I think. Just excellent all around. Very few weak points, and again, if you haven't picked it up, why are you watching this? Just go ahead, go and pick it up, play it, and enjoy the hell out of it, and then play it again, which I'm gonna be doing. So Pyromancy is gonna be coming tomorrow. Hyper Light Drifter is probably coming tomorrow. And this episode, this is not an episode, but this video is gonna be wrapping up. Want to thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video of my first impressions / a channel update. Thank you again for 7,000 subscribers. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see all of you next time. Goodbye.